गिरेगा मेरे से वो भारी है।
Can you see my screen? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can you
Yes.
see? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's chant the prayers. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Devasatharine हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिय जय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So we are discussing chapter 5. I think we discussed till text 50 last time. We'll continue from text 51. So just a quick recap of chapter 11, which is called as Virat Rupa, the universal form, where we have seen how Krishna showed his Virata Rupa to Arjuna, and then at the end we were discussing from last couple of weeks where Arjuna starts praying to Lord Krishna after seeing Krishna's form. He prays and then he says, please come back to your original form. I want to see that form again. I don't want, and he got a bit bewildered by seeing all this ghastly form of Lord Krishna, how he was expanding everywhere. He's having a fire on his mouth, and then everyone actually going into his mouth, all the warriors. And then by seeing those, Arjuna prays to Krishna, can you please show me to your 400 form? So Krishna showed his 400 form, and then again he goes to show his 200 form to Arjuna. So let's see the last section where pure bhakti is been described by Krishna. So we'll continue from text 51 and try to summarize this chapter today, hopefully, because it has 5 verses. Please repeat after me. Arjuna uvacha drishtvedam manusham rupam. Arjuna uvacha drishtvedam manusam rupam tava saumyam janardhana tava saumyam janardhana idanim asmi samvrittah idanim asmi samvrittah sachetah prakritim gatah sachetah prakritim gatah. Once again, Arjuna uvacha drishtvedam manusam rupam vasaumyam janardhana idanim asmim samvrittah sachetah prakritim gatah. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. So as of now, Arjuna was a bit bewildered by seeing Krishna's universal form, as he requested to see Krishna's 400 form, Narayana form, and after that to 200 form. So Krishna showed him 400 form and then again to his original 200 form. Just a second. Just 1 second. Okay, so by showing this form again, Arjuna he says, now I am restored to my original nature. After what? After seeing Krishna's human-like form, which is so very much beautiful. So that's clearly mentioned that Krishna has a rupa. It's not a rupa, it's not impersonal, it is a person. Prabhupada starts saying in the purport, saying that here the word Manusham Rupam clearly indicate that Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally 200 form. And those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. So that's Krishna's divine nature. Right? His 200 form, he's a person. Right? And if Krishna is like an ordinary person, human being, then how it is possible for him to show the universal form, again to show Narayana form, and again he comes back to his original 200 form. Right? So that's how Bhagavad Gita clearly states that Krishna is not an ordinary person, like who sometimes Papa says who misguides the reader by claiming that it is impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking in doing great injustice. So Krishna is not impersonal, he is a person. Right? Krishna has actually shown his universal form, 400 form, Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? So Krishna, though when he comes to this material world, when he appears in this material world, actually he does pastimes like us, as he looks like us, but he does all divine pastimes. He looks to be same like us, but he is not an ordinary human being, right? So just imagine how he lifted Govardhan Parvat, how he killed so many demons without even using any weapons in Vrindavan, right? So that's how we can understand that he is not an ordinary human being. So Prabhupada says that a pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows that what is what. So people, that's why there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita, and sometimes the writer here and there they describe some, they misinterpret the commentaries, and then people are getting misguided as well. However, the original versions of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. So Krishna is a supreme being. Krishna is not impersonal. He is a person. Right. Now let's see what Krishna explains in last 3-4 verses of this chapter. These amazing verses. And Prabhupada gives long purport. I would recommend, please, if you have time, please, I must go through those purport in the Navy times before we start chapter 12. Text 52. Please repeat. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Sudurdasham
सुदुर्दशम्
idam
इदम्
Rupam
रूपम्
Sri Durdarsham idam Rupam
सुदुर्दर्शम् इदम् रूपम्
Drishtvan
त्वाम्
Asi
असि
Yanmama
यन्मम
Drishtvan Asi Yanmama
दृष्ट्वान् असि यन्मम
Deva
देव
Apayasya
अपयस्य
Rupasya
रूपस्य
Devapasya Rupasya
देवापस्य रूपस्य
Nityam
नित्यम्
Darshanam
दर्शनम्
Angshinah
काङ्क्षिणः
Nityam Darshanam Kangshanah
नित्यं दर्शनं काङ्क्षिणः
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Sudurdarsham idam rupam
सुदुर्दर्शम् इदं रूपम्
दृष्ट्वान् यशयन् मम
दृष्ट्वान् असि यन्मम
देवाप्यस्य रूपस्य
देवाप्यस्य रूपस्य
एतं दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणा.
नित्यं काङ्क्षिणः
Translation: The Supreme Personality of God had said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigod are ever seeing this opportunity to see this form which is so dear." See, if you remember, and Prabhupada actually writes in the purport as well, that in the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded revealing his universal form and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, etc. Right? But now, in this form, Krishna is saying it's very difficult again. Which form? The form he is right now, he's in 200 form right away. Right? So after universal form, he is now back to his 200 form, and he is saying, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. And even it is very, very dear. Even the Devatas, they are actually seeking an opportunity to see this. So now here the word Sudurdarsam is used, indicating that Krishna's 200 form is still more confidential. It's actually very, very confidential to see Krishna's 200 form. So universal form, Prabhupada writes, one may be able to see universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional services to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. However, it may be possible, but without bhakti, without tinge of bhakti, one cannot see that has already been explained. So it's not possible to see Krishna's form without bhakti, right? So that's why bhakti is very, 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 very important aspects of spiritual life, right? And Prabhupada then goes on commenting so many things from all different scriptures as well. And if you see here, Prabhupada says that still beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see even for the demigod like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidence in Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of Mother Devaki, all the demigod from heaven came and to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord. So they provide very, very beautiful prayers. These are very beautiful prayers comes in Srimad Bhagavatam in 10th canto. Nice prayers are there. Actually, we can read one day how the devatas, they are glorifying Krishna when he appeared in the womb of Mother Devaki, right? And in one of the verse, I remember it says, he says about Satyam, how Krishna is Satya. He keeps his vows, he keeps his promises, right? Everywhere he is a Param Satya as well, right? Yes, and then again, Prabhupada continues saying that in 911, it is also confirmed that Avajananti Mama Mura Manushim Tamashita. So people, he is not visible to the foolish persons who deride him. So Krishna's body is confirmed by Brahma Samhita and confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternity. So that's how it is Sachidananda, right? So where it says Avajananti Mama Mudha, Mudha means foolish. The foolish person, they cannot understand, they cannot know Krishna. And when Krishna comes in his Manusim Tanum Ashatam, when Krishna appear in his two-handed original form, it is not possible for the people who are foolish to recognize Krishna, right? And Krishna. So that's why Krishna says here that it's not visible for the foolish people, but the devotees, they actually see him, right? And then, and Prabhupada quotes more actually important verses and more important lectures from points actually on this in this part, like how even just by reading, becoming a scholar or philosopher or things, it's not possible to understand Krishna, but bhakti is required to understand Krishna, right? Okay, so let's go to text 53. I think I just want to read the last paragraph again. So it says, the transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes opened and can see Krishna by revelation. So, how to see Krishna? Krishna is being seen by revelation. So, how can this be revealed? When we perform continuous Krishna consciousness and by rendering devotional service to Krishna. So then Krishna is going to reveal to us. So every living being is unique, and Krishna is going to reveal accordingly. Accordingly, our neighbor Krishna is going to reveal to us. So such a revelation is not possible even for demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna. And the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his two-handed form. So the conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for everyone and anyone to see, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyamashundara. So universal form is anyway is difficult, but it's more difficult is to see or understand Krishna's Shyamashundara form, right? Okay, let's see text 53. Naham
Naham
Veder
Vedher
Na
Na
Tapasha
Tapasa
Naham Vedena Tapasha
Naha Vedher Na Tapasa
Na
Na
Danena
Danena
Na
Na
Chejaya
Tejaya
Na Danena Na Chejaya
Na Danena Na Tejaya
Sakya
Sakya
Evam
Evam
Vidho
Vidho
Drustum
Drashtum
Shakya Evam Vidho Drustum
Sakya Evam Vidho Drashtum
Društvan
Društvan
Asi
Asi
Mam Yatha
Mam Yatha
Društvan Asi Mam Yatha
Dushtvan Asimam Yatha
Naham Vedena Tapasa
Naham Vedairna Tapasa
Na Danena Chejaya
Nadanena Na Chejaya
Shakya Evam Vidho Drustum
Sakya Evam Vidho Drashtrum
Društvan Asi Mam Yatha.
Društva Vanasimam Yatha.
So the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So Krishna has actually clearly mentioned this part again, that this form, the Syamasundara form, which is Arjuna is seeing from his transcendental eyes, that cannot be simply understood by studying the Vedas, nor by doing any penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. Then what's the solution? Krishna actually speaks that in the next verses. How can we actually see it? So this is, you can see how rare it is to see Krishna's, how rare it is to understand Krishna, how rare it is to see Krishna's actual Syamasundara form, right? That's 53. It's very rare, very rare. And again, you see in the Prabhupada says Krishna first appeared before his parents and Devaki and Vasudev in 400 form, and then he transformed himself into 200 form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheist or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by the way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualification, Krishna is not possible to be understood. Nor is he be understood by person who officially go to temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, which is Krishna is going to explain in the next verses. Right. So these are the way by which, I mean, it doesn't mean that we should not study Vedas, we should not, do some penances, not charity, not worship. It's not that. The point is that if we think that only by doing this I will get Krishna, I'll know Krishna, it's become very difficult. Right. These are the means to attain the highest perfection by performing devotional service through worship, through charity, through penances, through studying Vedas. Actually, we can go toward the stage from which we can see Krishna, we can understand Krishna. But if we don't want to promote us to that stage and trying to understand Krishna, it becomes difficult. It's in fact sometimes not possible, as Krishna is saying here. Right. So what a solution? How can we know Krishna? That comes text 54, and very, very important verse as well. I mean, this last two verses is going to be the way by which actually we can understand Krishna, which Krishna is providing as the process by which we can understand Krishna. So earlier in the text 52 and 53, we see how rare it is, right? And now we will see how can we see Krishna's form, right? And yeah, rarity as well as how can we not we see Krishna's form, but just by understand reading Vedas or doing tapasya and charity and worship. So let's see what Krishna says, what the process for us to follow to know understand Krishna. Text 54. Bhaktya
Bhaktya
tava
Tva
ananya
Ananya
sakya
Sakya
aham
Aham
evam
Evam
vidho
Vidho
juna
Arjuna
bhaktya tav ananya sakya
Bhaktya Tvananya Shakya
aham evam vidho arjuna
Aham Evam Vidorjuna
ज्ञातुं
Jnatum
द्रष्टुं
Drashtum
च
Cha
त्वेन
Tatvena
प्रवेष्टुं
Praveshtum
च
Cha
परन्तपः
Parantapa
ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तन्नैव
Jnatum Drashtum Cha Tatvena
ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन
Jnatum Drashtum Cha Tatvena
प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप.
Praveshtum Cha Parantapa
Let's do one more time. भक्त्या त्वनन्या शक्य
Bhaktya Tvananya Shakya
अहम् एवं विधो अर्जुन
Aham Evam Vidorjuna
ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन
Jnatum Drashtum Cha Tatvena
प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप.
Praveshtum Cha Parantapa.
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So, Krishna is a complete mystery. And how to understand Krishna? Krishna is giving the solution only by undivided devotional service, Ananya Bhaktya. I can be understood, right? So the point, as Krishna explains earlier in this previous verse 53, is that he is not being known by performing penances, by worship, and by studying Vedas, charity, and others. And Krishna is saying that just by undivided devotional service, Ananya Bhakta, Krishna can be understood, can be known. Yeah, to be very honest, to understand Krishna completely is not possible, but at least we can understand who Krishna is. At least we can understand something about Krishna, right? So this is again a long purpose, right? Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explained this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. So the point is, there's a process to know Krishna, and if we are not following the process, we are actually somehow or other wasting our time. Right? So no one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in 400 form and at once he changed himself to 200 form and all these pastimes. I think last week we discussed more about this Krishna's taking birth and how he appeared from Mother Devaki and then to Nanda Maharaj, and then how the swapping happened and how he merged and everything, right? So we discussed in a very small nutshell when we got a question for that. But it's not possible to understand these things by an atheist or by speculation. Unless and until we have bhakti towards Krishna, it's not possible to understand Krishna. So these things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of this matter. However, those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the rules and regulations or regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. So that's how the point is. And Prabhupada explains what are the things we need to do. Here he says that one can undergo serious penances. One may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon and the 11th day of the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotee of Krishna who are engaged in devotional service to spread Krishna consciousness. We will discuss more on this topic, like about the charity and all other things in chapter 14 and chapter 17, even in chapter 18 in more detail, where Krishna is going to explain the category of work in 3 modes: passion, ignorance, and goodness. However, the point is Prabhupada is trying to mention that somehow or other in a prakarana we actually mold our activities all towards Krishna. Then it might be possible to understand Krishna. Otherwise, it will become a mystery to us. As Krishna says, this is it's a without devotional service, that which is undeviated, it's not possible to enter or understand Krishna, right? And it's very, very important. Actually, this is important verses Prabhupada quotes from different Upanishads and things. But one more important thing is that without taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, it's not possible to understand Krishna. So how it says that Brahmanda Brahmite kono bhagyavana jeev, Guru Krishna prasadi paya bhakti lata bij. So the one in this whole cosmos, right, who is the bhagyavan, who is the most fortunate person? He is the one who has taken shelter of a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, and by him he got this bhakti lata bij so that he can understand Krishna, right? It's actually Guru Krishna prasade paya bhakti lata bij. So to get a bona fide guru, we get inspiration from within the heart from Krishna, because that depends upon what we wanted to know about Krishna. Are we looking for material benefit, or are we looking for spiritual benefit? That Krishna knows very well, as he is in our heart, and hence he guides us towards a bona fide spiritual master. And then by the mercy of the spiritual master, we actually know more about Krishna, because the bona fide spiritual master never ever deviates his disciples towards material thing. He actually guides him towards spiritual practices by which actually he can understand Krishna, he can know Krishna, right? So that's how it says. So it's impossible to understand Krishna without a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise we'll get deviated from our path. right? And Prabhupada quotes many verses from actually now here it goes from Brahma Samhita. Earlier we see from Upanishads, like it says here, it says that यश्च देव परा भक्तिर यथा देव तथा गुरु तशेक कथा तशेत कथिता है अर्थात prakshante mahatmana. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by a spiritual master in whom he has similar unflinching faith can see the Supreme Personality of God by revelation. Again, the point comes to revelation. How? By spiritual master. So spiritual master should have unflinching faith toward Krishna. Then only he can actually provide the information to us. And one cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. We may try to think whatever you want, but it's not possible to understand Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada makes us here point here, which I was just sharing, that one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. Or to understand Krishna, he cannot even understand Krishna at all, right? So it's not like people sometimes say, I can take my own path, whatever I wish to understand Krishna. No, so we need to understand Krishna through spiritual master, right? Through a lineage, through disciple succession. That's the reason, if you see chapter 4, Krishna already said this thing that evam param prapaptim ejarajo bihu kaline mahata yoga nashta parantam. This yoga, the science of Krishna consciousness, science of God, has actually been loved because, and then he's trying to re-establish through parampara. So understanding Krishna, understanding spirituality through parampara is required. Otherwise, if there was a sense where Krishna says that is actually that the knowledge has been lost now, and I am re-establishing this knowledge in the parampara, right? What time it is now? I think, are we okay to do the last? Yeah, we have some time to carry on the last two verses here. So this is a long purport. I would request if you can please go through these verses. These are very, very nice purport Prabhupada says, and how we can actually mold our activities toward Krishna. How can we know Krishna? What is Ananya Bhakta? So Ananya Bhakta is having complete faith on Krishna, and there is no more desire. There is no more desire for our sense gratification, right? It comes by gradually. Okay, so let's do the last verse of this chapter, and this is again essence of Bhagavad Gita. This verse, you can check it as essence of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada mentioned as essence of Bhagavad Gita as well. This verse, this talks about how can we mold our day-to-day activities towards Krishna. Right? Let's see. Mat karma krit,
mat karma krit,
mat parmo,
mat parmo,
mat karma krit, mat parmo,
mat karma krit, mat paramo,
mat bhaktah,
mat bhaktah,
sangavarjitah,
sanyavarjitah,
mat bhaktah, sangavarjitah,
mat bhaktah, sanyavarjitah,
nirvair
nirvair
sarvabhuteshu,
sarvabhuteshu,
nirvair sarvabhuteshu,
nirvairah sarvabhuteshu,
yah
yah
sa
sa
mam
mam
iti pandava,
iti pandava,
yah sa mam iti pandava,
yah sa mameti pandava,
mat karma krit mat parmo,
mat karma krit, mat paramaha,
mat bhaktah sangavarjitah,
mat bhaktah sanyavartitah,
nirvairah sarvabhuteshu,
nirvairah sarvabhuteshu,
yah sa mam iti pandava.
yah sa mameti pandava.
Very important words. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service. See, before going to that again, I'll come back again to this verse, text 53. Krishna says that by undivided devotional service, I can be understood. Right? And by undivided devotional service, this is the way by which one can enter the mysteries of my understanding. But what that is, this word, actually this three word, undivided devotional service, is being explained in this verse now. What it says, he who engages in my pure devotional service, which is free from contamination of futile activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So, what are the things to do? This devotional service, pure devotional service, is how it is. It is free from contamination of jnana and karma or mental speculation of futile activities. Everyone, he actually works for Krishna. He makes Krishna the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly even to every living being. Right here, this words come. Nirvair sarvabhuteshu. So there is no envious among any living being. Not just about human being. It's all about even the animals and everything as well. So this is again a nice and long purport Prabhupada makes, and this is again I would request you to please go through these purports. These are nice purports, and let's try to go as much as we can possible. Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all personality of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna must take this formula. So this is the formula as stated by the Supreme himself. So Krishna is explaining about the formula by which actually we can solve the equation, or by which we can actually cross this material existence and go back to spiritual world. Therefore, this verse is considered to the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Similar, there are more verses came up, but this is again, Krishna Prabhupada says this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. What it is? The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned soul who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, go to back Godhead. Now, here is the verse which clearly states the process by which one can attain success in spiritual activity, that is devotional service. How to get success? That is verse comes, and Prabhupada mentions about different verses. So when we says this word comes, pure devotional service, Prabhupada quotes from Bhakti Samshindo on verse displaying about pure devotional service, like anasaktasya vishayan yatha aramupanjita nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. What is that? No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the results of his work. The results should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business as well. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is the work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity service as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is called as Krishna karma. So working for Krishna, and Prabhupada explains each words like again more detail in these verses. So I'll just read. Yes, Prabhupada again quote one more things. This is, as I said, Sangha Varjita. Sangha Varjita is again a very significant this word actually. So he said, one should disassociate himself from the persons who are against Krishna. Right. So Krishna is suggesting to do Sangha Varjita, means the thing which is not favorable for our devotional service should be avoided. Things which is favorable to Krishna consciousness should be accepted. So this is Sangha Varjita, and Prabhupada mentioned another verse from Bhakti Samya Sindhu, which is very initial. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karma adi anavratam anukulyana krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unallowed devotional service, this is Ananya Bhakta, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. So it's very deep, because this essence of Bhagavad Gita, and by performing this, we can understand Krishna, we can know Krishna, right? So when freed from such unwanted association and from contamination of the material desire, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna. That is called pure devotional service, right? And just again, I would recommend, please go through this. If you have any questions, we can discuss certainly next week. Before that, I'll just read some five definition of bhakti given by Bhujan Prabhu in his book. Explaining this verse, particularly this verse. I'll read that section and then we'll stop today. So he says, Krishna herein gives Arjuna 5 powerful instructions on how to render pure devotional service. See, Krishna told that to see this form, my Syam Sundar form is very even it's very difficult from the Vishwarupa, right? And even the devatas, they are actually hankering for to see these as well, right? So these are the 5 powerful instructions. How can we see Krishna? By performing devotional service. So what are these? Let's see. He says, bhakti, first, bhakti must be performed purely. That is mad bhakta. I'll go back to the here the verse, and then we'll discuss it here. So first is mad bhakta. So what he says, first point, bhakti must be performed purely. Mad bhakta, that is, the devotee must fully engage in the 9th process of devotional service, and the only goal is Krishna's service, with no desire for attainment in this world. Second, bhakti must be free from jnana karma, that is sangar varjita. So there should not be any more tinge of jnana or karma, right? A devotee should not associate with persons who are against Krishna, and he should not become attracted by anything but pure devotion. A devotee at the same time should not be envious of those who are inimical, because the karma of such a person has awarded him that mentality, right? It's very important to make our association. This is very important, right? So even if the association is very important, as we associate with the people, we get the mindset of them as well. That's why this sangha varjita is very important, and devotees should remain disentangled from such a person's karma. Third, the work of bhaktas must be for Krishna, that is mat karma krit, perform for Krishna. A devotee should use his energy fully in Krishna's service while remaining detached from the fruits of his work. So it's not that we should not work, we should not perform activities. We should perform activity. However, we should be detached from the results of our activity. That's the real renunciation. Right. Fourth, Krishna must be the goal of life. Mat parama. Right. Krishna is the goal of life. The devotee should remain unattracted to both heavenly and impersonal destination, right? So there's a more depth. So we devotees should not hanker to go to heavenly kingdom, neither to the impersonal Brahman. Actually, there's a higher mean to go to spiritual world, right? And the fifth, the devotee must be friendly to all, nirvair sarabhutesu, right? So he should be non-envious to people. He must be compassionate towards the people, and he should be very much desirous to spread Krishna consciousness to all the people as well, right? So that's how this chapter ends, and we'll stop here. Anyone have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to let me know, or we can discuss here. Otherwise, we'll join back tomorrow, next week, next Wednesday, and we'll continue very important, very small chapter, that's chapter 12 of the devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.